Welcome back to the second session of the second Student Tourism Conclave, Agri, Eco, and Rural Tourism, much to offer for career. We have with us Dr. Rohit Balorika, PhD Rural Tourism, Assistant Professor of Department of Tourism Management, Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak. Over to you, sir.
Vikas,
Yes, Rohit.
yeah. Should I start?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Students are there.
Yes, they are
Okay.
there, and some have gone back, so maybe they'll join back. So you can start.
All right. All right. So yes, I'll. Mm, I, the same question, just a question was asked to me that already so much of discussion has happened on the same topic, and what more you're going to talk. So let's try. I'll try my best to give something different than what has been discussed, or more insights into these particular topics. Yeah. So yes, the thing which we have not discussed in this previous session mostly was COVID situation. What happened and what are the impacts? What exactly happened because of COVID? So let me just quickly take you through the things which happened due to COVID. So in tourism industry, as we know, it was the first and foremost industry to get affected by this particular pandemic. And it was, I mean, the lockdowns and everything that started by end of the March. But uh, tourism industry, especially MICE industry, they started getting the impact of this particular pandemic since January itself, right? So it was, tourism industry is among the hardest hit of all the economic sectors, and it has impacted on travel supply as well as travel demand. So from tourist side as well as the supply side as well, both are impacted. And who is the worstly affected section of this sector? That is small and medium sized enterprises, which make up around 80% of the tourism sector. So those are the people who have badly been affected. The enterprises, the people who don't have much of a financial backup to pause for a while and again restart their business. So these kind of people, these kind of small homestays, or we can talk about small eateries, restaurants, travel agencies, tour operation businesses, they have suffered a lot. Transportation, we should not forget about transportation. So small transporters, they have also badly affected by this particular pandemic, for because the business is almost off for entire year. So initially there were reductions in the salary, then by month of March, April, and then as everybody realized that this pandemic is here to stay, it is not going to go away in 21 days, or in months of in a month's time. Then there were layoffs started, and people started quitting, people started leaving the organization, and from other side, companies started laying off the employees. But now things are slowly getting back to normal. Trains have started, transportation has started, and tourism has also started. Domestic tourism is already there. People are roaming around, and Instagram pages of people are again filled with so many live photos or live videos, and what is that, reels and all. So yes, last few months we were seeing all the memories. Now again we are seeing the fresh photos on Instagram. Vaccination has started all over the world. Many countries are aggressively actually uh, uh, going ahead with their vaccination drives. And there is a concept called revenge tourism. If somebody knows about this concept, please type down, I'll explain it later on. So revenge tourism is also happening. It basically means overindulgence in travel, uh, or unnecessary travel, in a way we can say. And now again, companies who have survived, they are also they have opened their offices, and they are recruiting people again. So this is one prediction which is given by UNWTO. how much time it will take to recover for the things to come back to normalcy. According to this blue dotted line, which is a very um, optimistic kind of prediction, that says by this year end, by the end of 2021, things will come back to normal. Almost 100% recovery will happen. um, and not so optimistic red line shows that it will take at least 4 years. That means, till end of 2024, for the international tourist arrival or international travel to come back to the levels of 2019. So, what is expected out of this? So, Pandurang Taure sir just mentioned about healing. They mentioned about he mentioned about that rural tourism and agri-tourism is providing the much needed healing therapy to the tourists, to the people from urban areas. So, what is expected from tourists? What will happen is uh, the tourists are definitely going to opt for less crowded and less crowded attractions and less crowded destinations, even less crowded transport options. There are so many restrictions on international travel right now, but even when international tourism will open, uh, the restrictions over international travel will be reduced. At that time also, it will take some time for people to go for international travel, and right now or till then, the focus will be on domestic tourism. uh, the Indian Travel Agents Association or the experts in the industry in the country, they are also saying the same thing, and they are also focusing um, on domestic tourism. All this while everybody was focusing on outbound tourism, because that is the sector where you get a lot of money. But now they are focusing again on domestic tourism. People would need Tourists would look for some sort of personalized experiences, and they will indulge in slow paced tourism. So no all these points which I'm making, that is taking you towards something which is on next slide. So yes, slow paced tourism is more relaxing, more sort of there is no hustle bustle, there is no hurry of uh, traveling daily and going to different places, taking photos at different places, or just ticking the check boxes. It is actually opposite of that. Slow paced tourism refers to a kind of relaxing, spending more time with family and friends, with whom you are traveling. People will take more road trips because public transport will not be considered as a safe option for transport for a while. So people who have, at least who can afford and who have their own vehicles, they will definitely go for road trips. uh, the businesses like you know car services or car hire or Zoom cars, these businesses will flourish in these times. Weekend tourism activities will also increase. It was already there, this trend was there, of taking small holidays, several small holidays over the year, instead of taking only one big holiday once in a year. So this trend was already there, and this COVID pandemic and all these restrictions on travel, lockdowns, these things have definitely increased that feeling in people. Every now and then they should go out and get some relaxation, get some travel experiences nearby the cities. Nature based tourism and rural agri tourism, so all these things that will focus on rural and agri tourism and eco tourism. Sustainable and sustainability, people are also now thinking about sustainability practices in traveling also, I mean, from both the sides, in demand side and supply side as well. Staycations, this particular photo you might have, it will show you that people are going to destinations and working from there. So as as the trend of work from home came, people, instead of staying in cities or in their apartments, they thought of going to somewhere to some beautiful places, or to some destinations where they can stay, they can enjoy the holiday as well as work online. So staycation is a concept which has uh, courtesy to thanks to this lockdowns, this new concept has arrived. People will again, social media will be a big tool, or more, it will gain more importance. Yeah. So with all these trends which are coming up out of this COVID situation, that will take us to three main concepts, that is ecotourism, rural tourism, and agritourism. So ecotourism basically, as the definition says, that it's a responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment, sustains the well-being of local people, and involves interpretation and education. So uh, it is actually travel to any natural area. It can be a coastal area, it can be a mountainous region, it can be a place like Sundarbans, it may be a wildlife sanctuary, wherever. But that must be a responsible travel. Wherever you are going, whether it is a beach, whether it is a hill station, whether it is a national park, you have to adopt the principles of responsible travel. You also should, your travel should also focus on conservation of environment and well-being of the local people. These are the concepts which are, which are going really well uh, with the trends which are coming up in last few years, and especially after COVID situation. What is rural tourism? I think there is no need to explain this concept after the last session, but still I'll give you the definition, that rural tourism is defined as the movement of people from their normal place of residence to rural areas. So rural areas is required. Okay. So when you're talking about rural tourism, a rural area is required, and it should be for purpose of leisure and pleasure, not for any business. And rural tourism encompasses all the activities which happen in the rural area. So agritourism also preferably, or generally happens in the rural areas. So agritourism is actually a subset of rural tourism. It's a subtype of rural tourism. So agritourism can be defined as a form of tourism where tourists can experience farming life, farming culture, and activities which are happening in the farm, as the farmer hosts them on a working farm. Okay, there are so many concepts over here. So let's go through them one by one. So there is a farming life. So a general day-to-day activities or day-to-day life of a farmer, which is very different than people in the urban areas. Yes, explain revenge tourism. Yes, I'll do that. So yes, that is farming life. Farming culture is, it's a typical agricultural, when the people who are practicing agriculture, or farmers. So what is their culture? So first of all, they'll be very close to nature, they'll be very close to uh, the natural elements, and they will have their own typical life. So there are, although all over India, if we take example of India, then almost every states are having their own sort of soil, and specialization in different crops. So for in Punjab we have different sort of crops, in MP we have different sort of crops, and so on. So everywhere, although say again in Punjab and Haryana, there is a lot of farming is done in a modern way, green revolution and all these things. So although things are, lot of differences are there from farmers, in between the farmers of Punjab and other states, but still their culture will have so many similarities. Say for example, there will be some in all the cultures, there will be, or all the farming cultures, there will be some sort of a celebration when they will cut the crop. when they'll take the first harvest. Harvesting festivals will be there, and so many things are there. So yes, that is something which is unique to farming life and farming culture. Then whatever activities which are happening, so all over the year, in different seasons, different activities will be happening in the agricultural field. So that is also an attraction for the tourist. And in agritourism, farmer host the tourist on a working farm. Working farm is where agriculture is happening with available resources of agriculture. So whatever is available, it may be a pond, it may be a well, it may be some sort of animal husbandry will be there, a bullock cart might be there, a tractor can be there. All these are resources of agriculture. So when you are using all these elements and packaging all these elements into one, that can be called as agritourism. Revenge tourism is a very interesting concept which is coming up in during this pandemic time. uh, uh, the roots of this concept goes back to China actually. uh, no, not no, in relation with corona or any virus, but we know that earlier the economy of China was closed. Nothing was allowed from outside, and then in between, before few years, the economy got open, and all the foreign products were available in China. So the people went crazy, like nowadays whenever there is a flash sale happening on Flipkart or Amazon, and a big billion day, or Republic Day sale or freedom sale, or all these sales are happening, and people are shopping like crazy. Whenever you want to purchase a mobile which is in flash sale, and you would think within seconds that no, the stock will be over, and you would think kahan se aate ye log, kitne sare log, why everybody wants to purchase the same mobile, and so on. So these are all marketing techniques, and they create a shopping frenzy. Or you get, whenever, if you are visiting a mall, you are going to Big Bazaar or DMart or some branded shops and all. So there will be so many offers, and which will compel you to purchase more than intended. So what happened in China when the economy got open, when they had all these foreign products, so people started shopping like crazy. So that is called as revenge shopping, or revenge. That revenge concept was a revenge economy. That as it was as if people were taking revenge, that they were not able, earlier they were not able to purchase all these foreign products. So it was kind of revenge from their side. Now I'll shop everything, whatever foreign products are on offer. So similarly, now governments all over the world have kept their citizens locked inside their houses for such a long time, and now they are taking revenge. Now when the things are coming back to normal, now when people are allowed to travel, at least within the country, so now they are taking revenge on that time, on the corona. Yes, you made me stay in my house, you made me confined in my house, so now I am going to travel a lot. Even if a normal person would not have traveled so much, now because of this lockdown period, now they want to travel, they just want to go out and spend some time. So that concept is called as revenge tourism. Okay. Yes, somebody asked a question in last session: what are the products or what are the activities which are offered in rural and agritourism? So yes, I think I have taken this particular element from Taure sir's some paper only, that every tourism activity must involve something to see, something to do, and something to purchase. So these are the three basic things a tourist does wherever he goes, whether it is normal beach tourism or agritourism or rural tourism or any sort of tourism. He has to have these three things. Now, to see, there has to be some attractions, something unique to see, which is not there at their from the place where they are coming from. Some activity to do, and something to take back as a souvenir. Okay. So the products of rural tourism are nature based recreation, so the beauty of rural areas, the nature of rural areas, that is attraction. Fairs, festivals, special events, whatever is happening, it can be a small function as well, or it can be a marriage, a typical traditional rural marriage. That also can be an attraction. Some puja or something is happening, if something is happening in the rural areas or in that particular village, that becomes the attraction of rural tourism. Arts and crafts which are made, handicrafts which are made in the rural areas. Architecture, heritage, monuments, in every village, or almost every village, you will find a temple which is at least 50 years old or 100 years old, or maybe more than that. There will be some old mansion, or some ruins of old fort or something like that. So all that is known as architectural heritage, or heritage of that particular village. So if something like that is, if that is there in the village, it will also become attraction for tourism. It will also become a rural tourism product. Rural cuisines, the food which is offered, even the the way the things are prepared, that is also one of the actually major attraction of rural areas or rural tourism. Agritourism, as I said, it's a subset of rural tourism. So if you are going for rural tourism and you are just visiting a agricultural field, it becomes agritourism. Subsidiary units, so there are many units, say for example, jaggery making unit, or sericulture, or apiculture. Those who know what is sericulture, what is apiculture, just write down in the chat box. I would go through it. What is sericulture, what is apiculture? So these are subsidiary units. Dairy plants, dairy plants are there, or animal husbandry. These all are attractions of rural tourism. These things you cannot see in urban areas, and that's why it attracts the people of urban areas to see and visit, and to experience these kind of things. Rural activities, if it includes bullock cart ride, tractor ride, rural games, traditional rural games. All these things are the activities, and it can be presented as products of rural tourism. So I think somebody who has asked this question in the previous session has got the answer. Yes, all of you either are hotel management students or tourism students. So you are definitely familiar with the concepts of push and pull factors. So push factors are the factors, the reasons which compels the tourist to go from his house, to come out of his house and go to a destination, to indulge in some sort of tourism activity. And pull factors are the factors, or the aspects, or the elements which are there, which are existing in the destinations, which attract tourists over them. Okay, so these are some push and pull factors of agri and rural tourism. So everybody likes to be close to nature. It's a human tendency. Now if you see a lush green forest, you would like that. If you see a nice starry sky, it's an element of nature, and as a human, yes, everybody likes it. Okay, so immersion in nature is a man's natural and internal need, and that is satisfied by rural and agri-tourism, ecotourism as well. you know uh, a clear sky is not, it's a luxury. If those who are staying in urban areas, those who are staying in metros, you cannot see the sky, you cannot see the clear sky. It becomes very difficult because of the light pollution. So seeing a clear sky itself is an attraction, and which is offered to you, the experience is offered to you by agritourism, rural tourism, and ecotourism. A need for rural connectivity, as Pandurang Taure had mentioned, that in his survey, uh, large number of people said that they don't have any connection, they don't have any relatives left in the rural areas. Earlier, all of us, maybe your one generation back, everybody had some or the other relative in their native village, but now we don't have anyone because of the migration and other things. So there is a need. Everybody wants to go back to their roots, but there is no one there. So there is a farmer, there is a agritourism center which will host you, which will treat you like like their family. So that satisfies the need for rural connectivity, need for some new travel experience. So if as a traveler, as a tourist, you have visited the beaches, you have visited all the hill stations, you have done adventure activities. So what is new to do? You want to go for a holiday, but what to do? You are bored of beaches and hill stations. You are bored of the motorboat rides and sunbathing and maybe mall roads and shopping and all. So what to do? What is new to do there? So these are all new tourism experiences which will give you something different than the than the regular tourism experiences like beach tourism, hill tourism, and so on. Unconventional locations, so these are all unconventional locations. These are not your regular tourist destination. You don't have to stay, say for example, if you are staying in Mumbai, you don't have to go for Kerala or Goa or northern states, Himachal, Uttarakhand, for your holiday. You can just go some 100 kilometers away from the city, or 200 kilometers southwards of the city, and uh, you can spend your holiday, you can spend your weekend over there. So these are all unconventional locations which will give you equally good experience of a holiday. Then there is also a need for experience of rural life, which I have mentioned here, need for rural connectivity and interface with agriculture. Agriculture is an integral part. So now everybody is uh, you know uh, have their own opinion about farming and agriculture and everything. So keeping that aside, yes, if you are not part of agriculture, or if you don't have any background of agriculture, you have certain attraction towards it. And yes, definitely purchasing farm fresh agricultural products. So that is also an attraction. Nowadays, in metro cities, there is a lot of craze and attraction for organic products. The fruits or vegetables without any pesticides and all these things, or which are grown organically without any additional chemicals into that. So these kind of things are also offered in many of agritourism centers, or in the rural tourism destinations. You can go directly into the farm and pick your own things. You can go directly into a farm or orchard and pick your fruits and all. So yes, that is another attraction, and that is also that pulls people from urban area, tourists from urban areas towards eco, rural and agriculture tourism. Yes, what happens? What sort of positive impact a rural development, when we are talking about rural development? So how does rural development happens through tourism? So first of all, employment generation. There are people. If you say, for example, there is a farmer with a family of 5-6 people, and he wants to start agritourism in his field. So definitely, if there are all these family members will be employed. Okay, if they are not sufficient, he'll also employ some other people. He'll take some people from his own village and give them some work. So employment generation happens at a very organic in a very organic way in rural and agritourism. When tourists come, they spend, it automatically gives boost to rural economy. When jobs are available, when employment is available, when money is available uh, at your own village, then obviously why would anybody go to the metro cities? So it will definitely, it reduces the migrations from migration happening from rural areas to urban areas. Awareness about importance. So when you feel that you are a simple farmer and you are staying in a village, and people from outside, people from metro cities are coming to see, they are taking your photos, they are taking the photos of your attire, they are taking the photos of your bullock cart. They're taking photos of your farm. So you feel, yeah, this is important, I'm important, this, my clothes are important, my culture is important, right? So it gives a sense of pride to the people of rural areas, which is very much important. I think Taurus had also said that it gives a social recognition. So yes, that's very important, and that is a important positive impact, a kind of psychological impact, positive psychological impact, is uh, uh, which is possible because of rural and agri-tourism. Okay, somebody has answered. Muskan has answered. Sericulture means production of silk from silkworm. Yes. Pisciculture. Okay, additional information she has given. Pisciculture means the breeding and rearing of fish, or we can just call it as fish farming. Uh, and yes, apiculture is defined to manufacturing honey from bee. So honey farming, or honey bee farming, is called as apiculture. Yes. So in many rural areas, you will find the centers for silk, or sericulture units will be there. There will be pisciculture happening in the lakes, or in the village lakes, or in the agricultural fields as well. And yes, those are the students who are from, have little bit idea about science and all. So they will understand that honey, the bees are very important for, and actually they help in increasing the production of agriculture. So a lot of agricultural farms have apiculture units existing in them. Yes, and preservation of rurality. So as I said, when people will understand, when local people will understand that yeah, sorry, I lost my connection. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, Rohit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I lost my internet connection in between.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so here I'm trying to give you, don't get afraid of this. This is just a small model. So here, no, I'll just try to get to the practical aspects of agri and rural tourism. So in my definition also, I have mentioned that a working farm is required. Taurus also said that authenticity is required. So there is, there was a research about authenticity in rural and agri-tourism, and looking at the different business models which are there. So this is a basic model. Here you can just look at it and understand. There are two types of entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs who are offering agri and rural tourism. One are modifier and one are switcher. So modifier means uh, a, a farmer who is doing farming, and he's continuing to do farming, but just focusing or shifting his focus from farming to tourism activities. So at a time, he's doing both the things: a farmer doing farming as well as offering agri-tourism products, or offer agri-tourism services. Whereas switcher means he has stopped farming, and now he is using the farm and other resources for tourism activities only. Okay, so that is the difference between modifier and switcher. Co-location venture means, if a modifier is there and he's offering agritourism services or agritourism the packages in his working farm, so that is called as that is obviously regarded as the most authentic kind of experience. So that is called as, in this particular model, it is called as deep experiential authenticity. So it gives deep experiential authenticity. If there is a separate venture, so a farm is there, but for tourist, uh, a separate area is created where tourists are allowed, tourists are not allowed in the actual field. If the farming and tourism activities are separated in the farm itself, then it is called as a separation of venues, and it may be called as staged experiential authenticity. So farm is there, but and it happens, it's not a very rare thing that when you allow, or a farmer allows the tourist to roam into the farm, go and see the farming activities which are happening, they might do some harm to that particular farm. Just जाते जाते कुछ उखाड़ लिया, कुछ काट दिया, something, आदत होती है लोगों को, so that might happen. So that's why some farmers are not allowing the tourists to go in the actual field. They'll create a separate area for tourism activities. And in Switcher, in the surface experiential authenticity, which is offered by Switcher in co-location of venture, means there will be a separate venture created for, or a farm which is not a working for a farm anymore, and that particular farm, X farm, we can call it as X farm, it will be offered to people. Okay, so now I'm taking you through. So for theory, I'm just now taking you through some of the models, different business models which are there in India, which are in practice. So yes, this is, so names are not important, location is not important. You should focus on the business model. Okay, how it is operating. So yes, there is this one, Anand Agritourism. So as the definition says, that tourism or agritourism is something which is offered by a farmer to the tourist. Farmer himself is hosting the tourist on his working farm. So all these elements which are there. So this is typical by the definition kind of business model. So this particular person who is riding the bullet card is the owner of this agritourism center, and it's a small setup. It's a small family. It's a small setup. Some agricultural field of 20 acres, and he has converted some area nearby his house into a shed, into a kind of dining area for tourists. He has built some toilets and everything. So that's what is the setup. And this particular village, Morachi Chinsoli, is famous for peacocks. Okay, so there are actually a lot of it's a jungle of tamarind trees, so which are very good habitat for peacocks. So a lot of peacocks are there, and it's a tradition in that particular village that they won't harm any peacocks. So they are just, peacocks are roaming around in the village fearlessly, and easily you can see them, take photographs of them. So it's a natural attraction which is there, already existing in the village. And along with that, now these people are offering agritourism experience. So it is hosted by a farmer on a working farm, and a very basic, very kind of deep, authentic kind of business model. Okay. Then there is this Baramati Agritourism Development Center, which is actually the main center of ATDC. So this is owned by ATDC. So what they have done, they purchased a land in a village, in a very remote kind of village. They purchased a land, and first of all, they did farming there. Okay, they created a farm there, not for farming but for agritourism. Okay, so they created a farm. So once the farm was there, once some greenery was there in that area, then they created these sort of accommodation facilities. Okay, large accommodation facility, not a very small one, not just a couple of rooms. There are plenty of rooms, plenty of halls, and it can accommodate, the center can accommodate, I think, around 120 to 125 people at a time. Okay, so large accommodation facility. And so this particular agritourism center, they focus on large groups, so maybe school groups or corporate groups, corporate clients, um, senior citizen groups, and so on. So that is their main idea, and it is also used for their training programs and everything. So this is another business model, which is where the farm was created for exclusively for agritourism experiences. So you cannot say that farm is not there. There is a farm, but yes, it is for touristic experience. Then there is this Agriculture Development Trust's Agri and Ecotourism Center in Baramati. So this particular center is actually the first first agritourism center in Maharashtra. And this was a pilot project. This was a kind of pilot project run by ATDC in Maharashtra. So you might have heard about Krishi Vigyan Kendra. So almost every district, or at least combined neighboring districts, there will be one Krishi Vigyan Kendra or Krishi Vigyan Center. So this center basically will be showing different sort of farming. So kya technologies hai, maybe it may be irrigation facilities or new crops or something like that, or training. So training will be given to the nearby farmers. So for that purpose, this Krishi Vigyan Kendra are developed almost in every district. So there is one museum, then there is this administrative section and all, and they have plenty of different crops. Every variety of crops is there, and all these new irrigation techniques and everything is present, is being presented there for the training of, for the benefit of farmers. So that is the area. And then they had already all these things, so they just have to create some sort of accommodation facilities and food and beverage facilities for the tourists. So in the center photo you can see that they have erected this kind of tents. Makeshift tents are there, and they are offering this tented accommodation for agri-tourists in that center. So they have everything, vast variety of crops, agricultural techniques are there, museum is there, where all the related things to agriculture are presented, poultry, dairy, goatery, apiary, everything, all these things are there. Yeah, you can see in these photos as well, animal husbandry. So all the attractions you can think about agritourism are existing. They were already existing there, not for agritourism but for farmers, but that helped. The ready-made setup was there. Okay, then this is a very interesting kind of business model for Russia agritourism. Now what this person has done, he doesn't have his own farmland. Okay, so those who don't have any farm of their own, what they should do? So he has just taken 1 acre of land, 1 acre of area, and created nice accommodation facility in that. No, very nice landscaping and everything, and nice rooms he has created. And what he does is, once tourists are there, they are staying there, then he is taking those tourists to the nearby farms. It's a village, and almost everyone is having their own farm, and different people are having different crops in their farms. So the owner of this particular agritourism center, he has implemented kind of cooperative and collaborative approach. So he is not having any farm, but he has the accommodation facilities. He has created the accommodation facilities. He has the skills for attracting tourists. No, he has skills for marketing. So people are coming and staying in his agritourism center, and he is utilizing the farms of other farmers in the vicinity to take the tourists, to give them the agriculture experience. Okay, so tourists are also benefited. He doesn't have to have his own farm, and the nearby farmers, they are also getting benefited. How? So when he's taking the tourists to those farms, what he's doing is he's asking those tourists to purchase something from there. Okay, so if it is if there are grapes, or if there are some bananas, or if there is some green vegetables which are there in the field, so he'll ask the tourist to purchase it. Tourists are also happy because they're getting all this very fresh kind of agricultural products at a very lower rate. And on other side, these farmers, they don't have to take these products to the market. All the whole transportation cost is reduced. So without any transportation, the customers are coming directly to their doorsteps, and they're purchasing things from there itself. So it is a benefit for the farmers as well. So there is a win-win situation for everyone. Agritourism center is running, he is making money, tourists are coming, they are getting variety of crops to see, they are getting the farm fresh products, and the nearby farmers or the people of that particular village, they are getting benefited by getting the customers for their agribusiness or agricultural produces at their doorstep, at their own villages, right? So everybody is happy, everybody is making money. And yeah, so it's a kind of cooperative and collaborative approach. Yes, you can see very nicely in the photo at the bottom, you would see a nice landscaping he has done. If you can observe, there is a small bridge here, there is a bullock cart, then there are some plantations nearby. uh, in the top left corner, you would see there is a small wall where he has just presented some traditional agricultural tools. Okay, so it's a kind of small museum, you can say. This is inside the rooms. Inside the rooms also he has given that authentic rural feel. Okay, so this is a night lamp, typical night lamp, but it is created in such a way that it will give you a rustic rural look. See here, whenever you are going at any hotel or any accommodation facility, you would require somewhere, some place to hang your clothes. So I hope it is clearly visible to you that it's just a trunk of a tree uh, with some branches, and he has used them as a hanger for clothes. So this is kept inside the rooms. So these are very small things, but out of this creativity, out of these small things, he has been successful in creating that authentic environment, a different sort of experience for tourists. Okay, then there is this Vedi Farms. This is another. um it's actually agri resort. Okay, you can see nice big entrance. There is a swimming pool here. There is a makeshift kind of attractive bridge over here. So large area, very beautiful location, and some sort of agritourism activities. Some farming is done, some plantations are done. So it's a luxurious resort. Rooms are also very nice. All the modern facilities are available, but it is being marketed as a farm stay, or as a agri resort. Okay. uh, there is another farm called Rutu Farms in Vai near Mahabaleshwar. So this is also, you can see again a very elaborative kind of entrance, beautiful entrance, and big rooms are here. So this particular agritourism center is being promoted as a holiday home, or nowadays all the people who have a lot of money, they have their own farmhouses, right? So if you don't have farmhouse but you want to experience something like farmhouse, so this particular center is offering that. Okay, so it's like a farmhouse. It's like there are farms nearby. They'll take you to these agricultural fields and agricultural, they'll make you participate in this agricultural activities, but at the same time it's a nice, comfortable, uh, or kind of little bit kind of luxurious home like facility over there. So now you would ask me कि इसमें से agritourism है क्या? We तो saw, you have given us definition which was in that definition only this particular agritourism center is fitting. And but yes, these are all in fact these all models are very nearby, if not in one district, but yes, in nearby districts. So what is this? Which one should we refer as a agri-tourism center or agri-tourism business? So I would say all of these are the different models of agri-tourism. None of them you can call it as less important, or this is not right, this is not good. No, it's their business, it's their own creativity. This is how they want to do this particular agri-tourism business. So their business is their business, none of our business, right? So you cannot say that this one is authentic, this one is not. All of these are working, and let me tell you, all of these are successful agritourism centers. All of them are making good money, all of them are giving good experience to tourists, all of them are satisfied. No, most of the tourists, they have a very good satisfaction level of their tourists. So yes, these all models are successful, all of them are having business, but all of them are very different from each other. Okay. So yes, opportunities. What sort of opportunities you might have through rural and agri-tourism? So there are, yes, we can separate them as some opportunities for entrepreneurship, where you can start something of your own, and then there are some opportunities for employment. So development of tourist attraction. So starting a agri-tourism center. Yes, that is entrepreneurship. Or managing. So somebody has a farm. Maybe your relative or your friends or someone is having a farm. They want to earn some extra money out of their farm. So you would say, okay, let it be your farm. I'll manage your agri-tourism center, or agri-tourism business. I'll manage that. You give me some salary. So employment is there, or which can be done in the context of rural tourism. So a lot of activities has to be there. So no simple activity, I'll tell you. Participating in the agricultural practices, okay, or agricultural work. So as I said, around the year, some or the other work will be happening in the agricultural field. Kuch na kuch to hota hoga. The crop will be at some sort of stage. In village also, something would be happening. It may be some religious activity, it may be some day-to-day activities like market, weekly market. So weekly haat, that is also activity. As a tourist going to that weekly market and purchasing thing from there, or just experiencing that weekly haat is a activity. So there are a lot of activities which has to be offered. See, you are offering a accommodation facility, you are offering your farm, but people can't just go there and sit idle. So they have to be engaged in some sort of activities. And the number of activities which will provide to this tourist, that will result into the extension of their stay. If tourists are coming in morning, having lunch, doing something, taking some photos and going back in the evening, it won't give you much money, it won't give you much revenue. You have to compel them, you have to make them stay for a day. कि आज आपने ये किया, in morning you have this activity, in afternoon you have this kind of activity, in another morning we will take you to for some trekking or something like that, or we will take you to the nearby sugar factory or jaggery unit, all these things. So activities has to be there to mainly to extend the stay of the tourists. You can provide transportation facilities to take the tourists to these areas. You can also offer bullock cart ride, or tractor ride. It won't cost you much, and it will you can also make good money out of it. Guiding, so it can be entrepreneurship, it can be employment. You can guide the tourists. Say for example, in your village there are not much people who can communicate very nicely. Maybe they're not able to converse with these tourists. So if you are good with communication, if you know the villages also, if you know the language of tourists, you can guide them, you can take them to all these activities and different attractions of the village as well as agricultural fields. Similarly, developing and managing accommodation facilities. So apart from agri-tourism or agri tourism centers, you can just have a homestay, bed and breakfast system. You can just have a homestay. You can extend the accommodation and food and beverage facilities right from your house to the tourists who are coming to your rural areas. So that also can be done. Making marketing rural products, agri products. As I said, to purchase is a big factor of any travel. If you remember, or if you try to think that wherever you are going for holiday purpose, or even otherwise also, you will bring back something. Say for example, you are going to Agra to see Taj Mahal. Okay, fine. You saw Taj Mahal, you saw the fort, everything. While coming back, you will take back that small memento of that Taj Mahal, छोटा वो मार्बल का ताजमहल लेके आओगे. You will bring back some petha, right? So without that, your trip to Agra won't be fulfilled, or it won't be complete, right? So similarly, wherever you go, it's a very essential thing, essential element of the tourism experience to bring some souvenirs, to bring back some memories. Okay, so those sort of things can be done. It can be some very simple as pickles. Pickles are there. All the rural areas, rural families, farming families will make the pickles for their own family. Take them from them, get it manufactured from them, pack it nicely, brand it nicely, sell it to people. Authentic है, अभी अभी का बना हुआ है, fresh pickle, like that you can sell. uh, right from that, then there are these agribusinesses product. There are so many agricultural products which are being made up being made in the fields or in the rural areas. You can make them, you can market them if they are already there. So many things. Handicrafts are there. They are just there. You have to identify that, you have to brand that, you have to package that, market that, right? So that you can do. Providing and managing food and beverage services. So eateries you can just open up, small, simple, where authentic rural cuisines can be offered. And last, but kind of very important one, that is consultancy. So what ATDC is doing, they are providing training and consultancy services to
Yes, Rohit.
Yeah.
Did we take a pause? I think
No, my internet
connection.
connection
Okay,
took
okay.
a pause.
No issues. We
Yeah.
can. There are some questions also.
Yes. So yes, consultancy can be offered to the farmers regarding how to design, how to develop agritourism center, and how to manage it. Okay. So yes, this was it. And please ask your questions if you have any. If you think that I can answer them, you can write it down in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand. Yes, Vikas sir.
Yes, guys. So dear students, please ask questions. You can raise your hand, come discuss. there's a good opportunity to discuss whatever you have in your mind, because we think we can support our neighborhood, our own community. And this is the best way. If you are from kind of a background where you see a lot of agriculture people or farmers around you, or if you have inclination towards the rural India, definitely it's a good chance to discuss, do some brainstorming. It's nice. Rohit can always suggest you way forward, how step by step you can really achieve kind of a goal, maybe in 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years plan. So that's what I want you to understand. Keep a, if not the plan A, plan B, keep it plan C kind of a thing, but at least you should have, you should know that what could be the aspect and how you take it ahead. So please join if you have
Yes, I have one question from Sonal. Sonal is asking, can one include two or more nearby villages in their package, as like it won't become a hectic kind? Okay, so Sonal, I suppose you are thinking about making a package or selling a package instead of running own agritourism center, right? In that case, why not? You can have your own network, create your own network with the farmers from different villages, and you can develop an itinerary, different sort of agritourism centers or different sort of rural areas you can take. And every rural area, every agricultural farm will have their own kind of specialty. So yes, definitely you can go for it. It won't become hectic. It's a tour, people take Europe tour for 15 days, 21 days, 28 days tour. So why it would become hectic? So if you can extend, you will get more money out of it. um, Tourism, Ayushi is asking, rural tourism actually effective in which sense? Ayushi, can you explain a bit? Effective in the sense, providing revenue for the farmer. Yes, it is happening. uh, Say for example, agriculture, what happens is, agricultural produce or the actual income from agriculture or farming is only twice or thrice, more, not more than that, a year, in a year. It is not like a, it is not like a, what you can say, it's a salary. It's not like a salary, it's not like a daily wages. Whenever you have crop, you have, cut the crop, then only you can sell it, and then only you can get the income out of it. But in tourism, what is happening? So basically, let me tell you, basically, agritourism is uh, weekend activity. It's a weekend activity. So many farmers, what they are doing is, they are practicing farming. So they are doing farming and farming activities for 5 days a week, and they are keeping Saturday, Sunday uh, open for tourist or agritourism activity. So 2 days they'll be catering tourists, and rest of the week they'll be working in their farms. So they are getting both the money. They are getting income from their farm, which was already there. But say if you are hosting one simple family, one family of 4 people, not more than that. You have created one room or 2 rooms, and you are hosting 4 tourists on a weekend. What that farmer will get, if the package costs around, say, if it is a one night package, generally it costs around 1500. So 1500 into 4, so 6000 rupees. So even out of that 6000 rupees, if the profit is 2000 or 3000 rupees, within, I mean, in that 2000 3000 rupees, a farmer can survive for entire 5 days. जो भी उसका हफ्ते भर का खर्चा होगा वो आसानी से निकल जाएगा. So even if you are hosting 4 people, 4 tourists on a weekend, a lot of money you are making. So financially it is really effective. um, if you want to know the statistics of it, you can visit some Marsha tourism website also, or even this agritourism .in. So ATDC website, official website of ATDC. You will get the statistics from there as well, how much money exactly these people are making. What to look for creating a good agri tourism itinerary?
Abul.
uh, Yes, for for creating a good rural tourism itinerary, you have to look for variety. Simple.
प्लास्टिक के
You have to look for a variety. So if you are taking tourists for say 2-3 different agri-tourism centers or 3 different agricultural farms, so you can't just show rice here, rice there, and rice there. You can't do that. So you must see that there are different types of crops or different sort of things are happening at different places, and accordingly you can create that itinerary. You can definitely include participation of tourists in the agricultural activities, which whatever is happening. Near Mumbai, them to do the agricultural work, and they are paying for it, right? So काम भी उनसे करा रहे हैं, पैसे भी उनसे ही ले रहे हैं. So that is happening in India as well. Okay, Muskan is saying what while making tour package specific place, what should be the most important things to be kept in mind for safety purpose, and also there is any kind of permits need to be taken before.
I think Rohit is yes, Rohit is back. Rohit, are you facing some difficulties in the connection?
Not really, it should not
I
be.
don't know. Maybe my side. I don't know if you are audible to others,
Mobile,
but yes.
my mobile
Uh,
and everything is working fine. I don't know.
uh,
Anyway,
hmm.
so what I was saying that yeah, I was answering to which question? Safety concern and all these things I was answering. So yes, um, when you're taking tourists to your farms, I think Taure sir also answered that. Yeah, there are a lot of aspects, a lot of things which can go wrong. So some precautions are to be taken by the farmer or by the management side, and if that is done, then there should not be any problem. Lot of permissions are not actually required. It's not a proper business as such. A permission is required from your gram panchayat, and that would be sufficient. Okay, it's not like a restaurant, so that you don't have to go for food license and all these things. Okay. So yes, and again it depends on the laws of your particular area. District में अलग अलग laws हो सकते हैं, or state wise also it can differ, but it's not very difficult. Yoga and wellness clubbed with agri and rural tourism. Oh, good, very good actually idea. Um, Yes, definitely it can be clubbed. I don't know about yoga, but yes, wellness tourism definitely can be clubbed. There is something called naturopathy. If you have heard about that, Sarit Sardar. So if you are talking about naturopathy, which is again can be a part of wellness tourism, yes, it can very well work in combination with agri and rural tourism. Rohan is asking how rural tourism can survive if that destination is not easily accessible. So as a solution, how can we approach to government for the solutions? Okay, if yes, Rohan Kumar, very good question actually. See, the accessibility is required. So if you can just map the agritourism centers which are there, or agritourism destinations. Somebody asked this question in last session also. Mm, if you can just map these agritourism centers, where are they located? So you would find them in the, say, 200 kilometers vicinity of a metro city or a big city. So what if you don't have a big city nearby? So that is a kind of, problematic area for agri and rural tourism. So because one thing is, if your center, if your village is not exceptionally, or it doesn't have an exceptional attractiveness, say for example a historic fort, or some religious importance, or some natural geographic phenomena, something like that. If you don't have something which is very exceptional, then why would tourists travel from faraway places to your particular agri-tourism center or rural center? Yes, so that's why, as of now, it's a matter of concern how to bring tourists from these urban areas to the centers, to the rural tourism centers, agri-tourism centers, which are away from cities. So it is still on the way. I think right now I can just tell you that either you have to create such a USP to attract tourists, that they will come from, they'll travel all the distance from, they'll travel the distance, or else you have to wait for some time to create awareness about it. So slowly it will happen. Slowly the things will spread. But till then, what is in your hand? Government can't actually do much about it. So as an entrepreneur, what you can do is you have to create some sort of different unique, I mean, USP, uh, to attract tourists from faraway places. That is one thing. Any other question?
I
Because
think
sir, you have any question?
no. I think everything is good. No, just I have a question that how quickly, maybe if somebody is interested, they can get into the kind of internship or some sort of understanding in detail. Do you think you have some idea on that, or maybe some kind of organization where they can be a part of members, or just to get an idea about what's happening, a current affair, so that they will be well versed with the topic, and continuous learning will be there. So do you think such organization exist in India? Any association, any foundation? Rohit, I think I lost you, or you lost me. Can anybody please tell me if I am audible?
Yes, sir. Vikas, sir, you're audible.
Okay, so Rohit has some issue on the internet, maybe. So, guys, I think Rohit has given in detail what can be done and how it can be done, and all the options and opportunities what can be readily available for you if you are into, or if you want to be in the kind of a sector. We do have also one of our partner is looking, or our clients is looking, I should say, some kind of interns where they can involve students who are interested in this field, to prepare a business case, also prepare website content for agri and rural tourism destination. So if you have that interest, do connect with us. We can always put you in that work, so that your learning and your understanding would be more better, and you can really learn practical things. So that's what from my side. Rohit again, we lost Rohit. So any other question you have, or any other comment you would like to put, I can answer, or we can keep it for Rohit. Anybody is looking for internship in rural tourism, agri-tourism, please connect with us. We can connect you and get you some kind of a on ground experience where you can learn new things. So this is what I don't know. Pushkar, could you please check with Rohit if he is coming back, or we can close the session. Vishal, if you in the meanwhile, if you can announce tomorrow's session detail, Vishal.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I would like to announce tomorrow's session details. 6th February, responsible tourism case study at 2 p.m., followed by social entrepreneurship opportunities in new normal 2021 at 3:30 p.m. The sessions tomorrow start from 2 p.m.
Yes. Hello. Yeah, Vishal, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm
so
there.
thank you, Vishal, for joining us today, and thank you all the participants. See you tomorrow, and thank you for attending the session till the end. And we would be happy to have you listen to have you in the tomorrow's session. Yes, Rohit, you are back. You'd like to conclude the session, Rohit?
No, thank you so much. I think there is a lot of issue with the internet over here. So yes, it's a very good opportunity, agritourism, for the people who are staying in agriculture area, in the rural areas, who have their own farms, or even if you don't have farms, but if you have creative ideas regarding rural and rural areas and agricultural areas, then it's a very good opportunity for all of you, all the students, to have, as Vikas sir said, as a plan B or plan C. What I would suggest, if you are really interested in getting into these kind of businesses, uh, first you go to industry, take some experience, create a network, see how marketing is done for these kind of products, and then start your venture. Okay, instead of just getting into these kind of businesses without having industry experience, it might not work well for you. Okay, so get some experience, create a network in the market. You have to catch people, catch the tourists from that if you don't know anyone. There are a lot of opportunities which are available. So if you have details to you, you have any questions, any queries, you can always contact me. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
All the best to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohit, for joining us today. We have taken long hours from you, and thank you for always supporting us. I have mentioned when you are not there, we have few opportunities for students who are interested in agri and rural tourism. We have got some people who are looking to develop their destination. So student can work with them from the scratch, and into the research and development, also the website content, and preparing the project report. So if the students are there, and if you know your students or anyone, they can connect with us. So this is what I would like to say. Thank you, everyone. Let's have a nice evening, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Bye bye. Bye. Thank you, Vishal. Have a good evening to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.